Recording. All right, my name is Travis Horn. I'm the Director of Health and Wellbeing at Borslow Insurance. Again, thank you for joining me today, just to talk briefly on our topic today, which is our monthly topic called Healthy Aging. For those of you that don't know me, I've been around Borslow for a good 9 years now, and Borslow Insurance, we give you a little kind of what we do and what I do at Borslow Insurance. We have several services at Borslow Insurance. We really surround the client's in the center, and around that we have several solutions, and one of them happens to be health and well-being. So you get to listen to me for another 15, 20, 30 minutes today, talking about healthy aging, but that's really what it looks like from our services perspective. What do we do? What do I do? Really, we focus on the four pillars of health and well-being, one being physical, financial, mental, and social well-being. A lot of times what we're doing is really focusing with clients and building different types of wellness programs that are measurable, actionable, and very communication specific. So with that, I wanted to talk about today's topic. So today's topic, actually, I was with a school yesterday at a wellness committee meeting, and this topic came up, so it was good timing. The topic really has to do with healthy aging, and it's a topic that is talked about quite a bit, but it's really starting to bubble now in the industry. It's becoming really a true trend in the industry. If you do have questions, I will say I'm on. I can answer as well. Feel free to put them in the chat. I should have mentioned that beforehand. But so healthy aging, what does it entail? What is it? There's three pillars of healthy aging. First one is physical health. Then the next one is mental health. And then the biggest one that's starting to become really a focus in the health and aging community is cognitive health. I'll get into what each of these means and how you can work to improve them. This is a journey. I will say it up front. It isn't something you can do overnight. It's something that it's more of a habit building. And, a way to kind of, as you grow older and become aging, you can start focus on these three pillars. So I'm going to focus on those. And again, high trend right now, seeing this, it's very hot in my industry with just health and wellness. And I hear it quite a bit, these three different areas of opportunity. So what is healthy aging? I wasn't going to put this up there, but I saw the description and I figured I had to put it up there because I thought it was a good representation of what I will talk about today and kind of go through. And it's so healthy aging, what is it? It's a continuous process of optimizing opportunities to maintain and improve physical and mental health, independence, and quality of life throughout the life course. And that's why I said this is a journey. It's not something that you're going to do overnight. It's definitely something that you keep working on, improving to kind of help down the road as you grow older or individuals around you start to age. Because guess what? The numbers don't lie. I got to tell you, these numbers were a little scary when I first saw them, but I thought I had to share them. 10,000 people a day are turning 65. Luckily for me, I'm not there yet, but when I get there, it will be even more, because as we start to get older and the age starts to grow, meaning from 2012 to 2050, right, we're reaching 84 million. So when it's 2030, there's going to be 1 in 5 Americans are going to be 65. And as that grows, there'll be more Americans that will be the age 65 than there will be the age of 18, which is crazy if we think about it. The older is now staying longer than the younger. So that's going to flip. And so this is a very important topic that we can start to focus on as we get to know that there's going to be a lot more age 65 and older as we go through the progression of life. All right, so let's take a poll. I love my polls, so I always tend to have polls on there. Before we get started, I want to put one in there. This poll, here we go. I'm going to launch it. Go ahead and give me your thought process around it. According to WebMD, regular exercise helps keep brain cells healthy by delivering more blood and oxygen to the brain. I think this one's a no-brainer, right? But I actually think this one is important to understand, which we're going to talk a lot about, because this is just something that I think most people know, but a lot of times we don't. So it's an easy, learn, kind of get there. Okay, we've got everyone in. Pretty easy. Yes, true. Let's end the poll. Let's share the poll. Pretty simple. Results are in. Everyone got it right. Well, it was a pretty easy question. I'm glad you all got it right, because the one that didn't, I would have had to have said something, but that's okay. It was still good. Let's go into the first piece on physical on physical health, taking care of your physical health. So as we age, this is the one thing. So my background, I used to be a personal trainer. I was certified in all the different certifications of personal training. Did several opportunities of one-on-one personal training, personal training, exercise classes, so on and so forth. So the one thing as we age that really can help us to not prolong the age process, but to help us age healthfully, it's the way I would put it, is really focusing on your individual physical activity. And so the question I always get, which is an important one to answer, is what is physical activity now versus what is physical activity? So now I say my age, 50, versus physical activity when I'm 60, when I'm 70, so on and so forth. And so right now for me, I'll give you an example of a good physical activity is I go to the gym 4 days a week. I don't do heavy physical activity. I do cardiovascular for 30 minutes, and it isn't high-end cardiovascular. I get a sweat, but I don't go unbelievably crazy where my heart rate is up at 150 or 160. It's really about focusing on getting a sweat and enjoying what you're doing in the time that you're doing it. And so the fitness center is my thing, but I truly don't think it's for everyone, in the sense that for most people, it could just be a brisk walk. Crystal, who's on my team, who, is on the health and well-being team as well, yoga is her thing. And that is something that if you do a certain type of yoga, you can get moderate to vigorous activity, but really focusing on getting the heart rate up and doing it for at least 30 minutes a day. Water aerobics is awesome. I used to teach it when I was younger. I used to teach it all the time, and it's a great activity just to kind of keep the body movement, keep yourself limber and nimble, and being able to really keep the body in motion. And that is what vigorous or moderate to vigorous physical activity is. So little things that you can do every day, just get out there at least 30 minutes a day, get the heart rate up, a little sweat. That is something that'll help you to keep moving from as we age and get older. So the next one has to do with healthy eating. Always an important one. I feel like we always talk about these topics. The healthy eating one is a true topic. Physical activity and nutrition. Those are so important as we age. Getting away from eating fried foods, getting away from eating foods that, if you look at what's in the ingredient list, if there's more than 10 ingredients, then it's a processed food, more than likely. So those are two things I look for. When I go into a grocery store, I'm looking at what's on the list, what's on the ingredient list. If it's got more than 2 or 3 things, then it's going to be processed. So you got to get away from processed. Focus on, what's really happening in the industry is a Mediterranean diet. And for those that don't want to know what a Mediterranean diet, it's pretty basic in the sense of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, high healthy fats like a fish, kind of getting away, less dairy, more into the whole grains, things that are healthy for the body to kind of help keep that body moving and flowing. Very important. If you don't do it now, if you're, a big, fast food eater, the easiest way to do it, and I always tell folks when I used to personal train, focus on small changes. Don't take it all at once. I mean, it's very hard to do, because then you'll crave. So really focusing on the small changes that you can make. Maybe take one thing out a day, one thing out a week, however you feel you can get to the point where you're eating really good, healthy foods on a regular basis. I'm not a calorie counter. Some people are. It's not my thing. It really is up to the individual. Some individuals would rather do the intermittent fasting, which, by the way, if you've never done it, it is very healthy for you to intermittent fast. Something, if you take a look it up. That's something you can do. Introducing new foods every week. Something you haven't tried. Introduce a new food, something that's healthy that you haven't tried. I'll use tofu. I'm not a big tofu fan, but some people, once they introduce it, they love it. It's a good protein, so as well as beans, things like that. And then lastly, from a nutrition perspective, your best option really is to stay, once you go in the grocery store, stay on the outside. Get away from the aisles, stay on the outside, because if you look at the perimeter of the grocery store, you're going to have fresh fruits and vegetables, you're going to have your fish and meats. You keep walking down, you're going to have a lot of your yogurts, that type of stuff on the outskirts. That is where your healthiest food is, and it's a good place for you to stay. So from a nutrition perspective, nutrition is 80% of it. I'll tell you right now. Keep staying healthy, aging well, in the sense of, feeling good, feeling healthy. Nutrition is a big piece of it. Physical activity is up there, Nutrition is a big piece of it. And then the other part is sleeping. Always a hard thing. Sleeping, staying from a physical health perspective, sleeping is that thing where you have to find a routine. You have to watch out for, say, technology at night. If you're a TV watcher at night, or if you use your phone before bed, if you like to play a game before bed on your phone, that can always be a deterrent of sleeping, as well as alcohol can be a deterrent of sleeping. Something that most people do, or if you've never done it before, you should absolutely try it. It's called diaphragmatic breathing. It's where you use your stomach, your inhales and exhales a little bit more to kind of help you to relax the mind and relax the brain. If you do have a busy brain, diaphragmatic breathing can help you to slow the mindset and to help you sleep better in long term. All right. And then lastly, I think this is a no-brainer. I didn't put on here, I probably should, alcohol and quit smoking. Those two things, as we get older, we really have to watch out for and moderate. Quit smoking altogether. Like, if we can quit smoking, that will increase your lifespan by years. And you can quit now, and it actually will help to increase your long-term feeling good, feeling healthier life. If you're looking for areas of opportunity and help in these areas of either alcohol or smoking, there are definitely things you can do and places you can go. If you have a medical insurance, go online, take a look to see if you can find some self-help information. Sometimes they offer, medically insured offer, patches, things like that from a smoking perspective, as well as you can find areas where you can go for counseling. Just to talk to someone to be able to kind of help you through the process. Not easy to do, but counseling is so important. Nowadays, everyone's using, counseling online, like Amwell and things like that. So you can absolutely do it there as well. In-person counseling is a little bit more difficult to get to, but if you can use the telehealth type thing, that would work. And most medical insurers have it now today. Talk to your doctor first, kind of consult them to see how you can get help. But also, there's a ton of information online, and this can actually help you from a physical health perspective and prolong your life as you move forward. All right, that's a physical health piece. Moving on to the next polls. Again, love my polls. Let's go back. Let's use this one. All right, taking care of our mental health. Here's the question. Mental health is important in every stage of life, and it includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. I made this one a little bit more difficult. All right, few minutes. And just a couple more. Okay. Let's go ahead and end the poll. All right, so far so good. Everyone's on track. All right, you are correct, all the above. So from a stage of life, it's including emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Mental health is a big question today. It's something that's bubbled up quite a bit in the health and wellness industry. Crystal and I focus on it all the time now with clients, with individuals, with groups we work with, especially with wellness community, the wellness champion community. That's a big focus these days. There are several opportunities out there, and so let's look at it from a mental health perspective. As we age, there are really one big thing that's become apparent within the organization, within the industry of wellness, that has become more of a problem, and that is isolation and loneliness. So as we get older, as we age, this is one thing that becomes prevalent that everyone needs to work on. Because if you don't work on it, what happens is it starts to increase your risk of heart disease, depression, cognitive decline. I'm going to talk a little bit more about cognitive because it's something that is very important to focus on. The one way you can really find to help you stay connected and not be isolated is to focus on either going to classes, find a way to stay connected with friends. Maybe you haven't had talk to a friend in a long time. It's time to reach out. It's time to talk to a family member, meet up with a family member, do lunch. There's ways to stay connected, even if you don't have close family members or individuals that you connect with. Then there are groups, there are classes you can go to, and that's something that's being pushed quite a bit within the industry from a mental health perspective when it comes to social isolation, is because it's sometimes easier for folks to stay isolated, and that can really cause serious concerns from a health risk perspective moving forward. So I would say take classes. I'll give you an example of my world. I now work from home, but I do classes all the time. I go to Planet Fitness to work out. I do that's kind of my thing, but I also do classes at the local YMCA in Concord. Sometimes I'll go there and just take a few classes just because. And there's also, other things. I use my mother as the example. She's 70 years old. She's busier than I am, by the way. And she goes to classes all the time. She meets up with friends. She makes it a point. I swear she's never home on a daily basis. She makes it a point to go see people and do things, and that keeps our cognitive self moving forward in our being able to make sure we're not in that state of loneliness where we become depression. The other thing is stress. Mental health's become a big concern with stress. Different techniques on stress, and I will say I have used a few of these. One I've already talked about, which is meditation techniques. Diaphragmatic breathing is awesome. If you've never tried it, absolutely look it up and give it a try. The other thing is doing some reading. That can be one that helps to decrease the stress and overall kind of keep you in a state of relaxation. Exercise is one thing I will push as much as I can, only because exercise is a place where you can start to not focus so much on your day-to-day, but focus more on as we age and keeping our body movement. But it also helps a big piece with stress. The last thing that I've done in the past, I know my son, he's only 16, but he does it and he loves it just because it keeps himself kind of thinking forward. But from an aging perspective, the cognitive piece is huge with journaling. If you can journal every day, even if it has to be just writing a few things down to kind of keep the memory sharp, doing puzzles, playing games, anything like that will help from a stress perspective, but also from a journaling perspective. All right, the last one is depression and overall mood. This is a key one. If we want to really help ourselves from a depression, which because, by the way, can increase our heart, our risk of heart disease and metabolic disorder. The one thing is really about finding a hobby. I was using an example for me. I've always, I have a son who is big into baseball, so I really found a passion of mine that I was able to kind of call my hobby, if you will, which is working with the youth, working with youth sports, baseball especially. So I coach baseball just on the side with the younger kids, 10U to 12U, prefer that age because they really enjoy the sport, and it keeps me kind of motivated and happy to help out in the community. So find yourself something that really makes you happy and keep yourself moving forward with it. And that way it kind of helps with the depression, overall moods, and it helps to keep your mind, your cognitive mind moving forward. Okay. So last poll. And let's launch this. All right, this one's not going to launch. Of course it doesn't want to, but I'm going to read it to you. Instead of taking a poll, I'm just going to read it to you. I'm going to pivot here. All right, so a study by WebMD found that thinking positively about getting older can extend your lifespan by, had on here, 2 years, 4 years, or 7.5 years. Believe it or not, by thinking positively about getting older and not dwelling on it can actually extend your lifespan by 7.5 years. Now that I thought was pretty amazing. Can you imagine it? 7.5 years just by thinking positively about aging. I guess we just have to accept who we are and what's happening here. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. Oh, there it was. So anyways, at least you've already seen it. So now you kind of know that side of it. All right, lastly, let's talk about cognitive health. This is pretty much wrapping the first two up into this last one, because as we age, healthy aging really is about our mind and keeping it sharp. Keeping the mind sharp is something that happens when we keep things moving forward. First thing you can think about is exercise. I already talked about it. Thinking about vigorous versus intense physical activity, really trying to get 150 minutes per week. That really, if you think about it, if you can get 30 minutes a day, working towards getting most during the week, then that is something to help you moving forward. We already talked about no smoking, stop drinking heavily from a drinking perspective. I always get the question, well, what's a good amount of drinks? What should I be doing? What should I not be doing? The rule of thumb is 2 drinks a day for males and 1 drink a day for females is really where that's the rule of thumb of what you should have. Now, if you go above and beyond that, then that's something you want to work on from a cognitive perspective, because that will affect your thought process day after day. And as we get older, that really will harm the body. Talked about the Mediterranean style diet, really focusing on fruits and vegetables, whole grains, fish. These things all help the brain as well. The more unhealthy food you have within your brain, the less it really helps your brain, it more hurts down the road. And then lastly, which I just talked about, which is important, is enhancing or engaging in mental stimulation activities, which has to do with reading, writing, playing games. All these things help the brain and the mindset moving forward and becoming stronger as we age and get older. Because remember, as we get older and as we age, we will outnumber the younger ones, which is yay for us, not so good for them. All right. And I want to thank everyone today for joining me. If you have any questions, I'll stay on for a few more minutes after, but this was, just a short presentation on healthy aging, some things you can do, things you can work on, things to help yourself out. This will also be available on YouTube. I want to thank you for your time and have a wonderful day. I have one question. Oh, thank you. Thank you as well. I appreciate you for being here. This was awesome.